ever wanted to volunteer but did not know where or how? Well, what if you could hop on or hop off a bus that could take you to all the spots that require your services? My name is Bophelong. Welcome to today's edition of Bophelong. I am out and about to bring you all positive and uplifting news. Today I'm meeting with founder of Better SA, an NGO that is founded to mobilize all the volunteers across Johannesburg. Well, let's go inside and find out why she started Better SA. By eliminating all barriers to volunteering, Better SA unlocks the potential of hundreds of volunteers who register for this service weekly to give their times to the less fortunate. All they have to do is to arrive at one of the bus hubs and the possibilities are endless. 3 years down the line, founder Roberta Donovan is exploring the possibilities of a service such as this spreading to other provinces across South Africa. Roberta, thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Let's start from the top. What inspired you to start Better SA?
I myself volunteered for many years before starting Better SA, and through doing that learned that it's actually really difficult to volunteer in South Africa. Most South Africans want to do good and give their time, but they don't know how to. And even once they figure out how to, it can be really difficult. From organizations not calling you back, language barriers, having to jump through hoops and then still not getting to volunteer, it can be really disappointing. So I realized that a service or a middleman was needed to make it as easy as possible for volunteers to give their time. And by doing that, we would unlock a revolution of volunteers. And so Better SA was born.
I like it because it's so relevant and it's so modern, but also what kind of personality traits does one have to start such a cool initiative such as this one?
I think when it comes to myself, I am a die-hard South African. I really believe in this country. I'm so passionate about this nation and its people, and I really believe the solution is within us. I really believe that if people get involved, embrace active citizenship and be part of the solution, this country has the most amazing future. Other attributes, I would say, I've always been very brave and I take risks. Leaving a corporate job and corporate security to start a non-profit, my poor mother thought I was absolutely mad. She thought I had truly lost my mind.
You have a day job. You spoke about sustainability, but you still keep a job and then attend to Better SA. How do you juggle the two? And what is that day job that you have?
So my day job is I'm the head of marketing for the skin and body division at Ascendus Health, which I absolutely love. I'm a marketer through and through, but it's tough. Juggling 2 full-time jobs in essence is very difficult. It helps that I don't have children and a husband to give my time to at the moment. Hopefully that will change soon. But it's not easy, but it's worth it. Every time I get on a bus with 13 South Africans who are giving up their time to help others, it's so energizing. It really does give you the oomph needed to get through the week.
Where are you right now in terms of your growth?
So we've been going from strength to strength from the beginning. We've been very fortunate in our journey as an organization, but it's tough. I mean, anyone who started their own business will know that it takes quite a while before you break even or start earning enough money to support yourself and your staff. Add a non-profit lens onto that and it becomes even harder to sustain the organization and yourself through a decent salary. Luckily, very early on, we stumbled on our sustainability angle, which is that we design and implement employee volunteering programs for companies. And we charge for that service, and everything we make doing that service goes towards funding the free hop-on, hop-off volunteer bus.
You guys are doing such amazing work. You have an office in Cape Town and in Joburg. Let's focus particularly about Joburg.
So we have activities happening every week across Johannesburg. This Saturday we're going to be making sleeping bags for the homeless, which is the most amazing concept. That sleeping bag was actually, it's called the Good Night God Bless sleeping bag, and it was developed by a Cape Townian called Joe Maxwell, and it's a low-cost sleeping bag that keeps someone who has to live on the streets fully warm and dry in a freezing cold winter, and it lasts the full season, and it only costs 10 Rand a sleeping bag to make. So we'll be doing that on Saturday. But we have events ranging from working with rescue animals to educating children in disadvantaged communities to environmental cleanups, painting creches. There is so much to choose from if you're a volunteer looking to get involved.
Do you ever find yourself that there's so many people that want to hop on the bus on that particular weekend, but then the bus is not big enough, and what do you normally do in a situation like that?
So, in fact, it's interesting you say that the next 4 buses are fully booked.
Oh, cool.
And there's usually waiting list, 10, 15 people on a waiting list.
Okay.
A lot of the organizations we work with have capacity constraints, so it would be very overwhelming to go into a creche of small children with 50 volunteers. So we keep our volunteer group to a 12, 13 size, because that is manageable for our partner organizations. But when there is a lot of demand, we tend to lay on 2 or 3 events or activities per Saturday, so that we have multiple buses going out each Saturday.
Oh, okay. So no one can hop on the bus unless they fill in a registration form and they send the information on your website.
Yes, booking is essential. So you have to book your seat on a bus for you and your friends, or you and your family, or just yourself, in order to secure that spot.
I mean, you've been doing this for over 3 years now, just over 3 years. What are the highlights of doing a job such as this one?
Oh, so many highlights. I think for us, our biggest highlight was securing a sponsor, a big national sponsor. And our sponsor is My School, My Village, My Planet. So those cards that you swipe at Woolworths to donate money to a cause close to your heart. And we are very much aligned to their values, and they came on board and they sponsor our Joburg and our Cape Town bus. Without them, we would not have been able to extend and expand to a second city. So that was just the most amazing achievement for us, because Better SA exists to live in multiple cities across South Africa, or even the world. So getting that second city was really, for us, a new chapter.
Okay, thank you so much. I look forward to Saturday, where I'll also be part of the making of the sleeping bags and spending time in the bus and then meeting the volunteers.
Your hands will be black from handling newspaper.
Yeah. Okay, no, I look forward to that. Welcome back to day 2 and our final day with Better SA. I am out and about, and it's very, very cold this morning in Johannesburg. I'm here to meet Roberta. She's waiting for me, and we're going to be talking about what we're doing, particularly today with Better SA. I know one thing for sure, though, is that we will be taking the bus on the road, so I'm excited to finally do that. So let's go meet her and find out what exactly we are doing today. Morning, Roberta.
How are you on this
It's cold today, but I'm excited I get to be in the bus.
I know, it's so exciting. Finally.
Okay. So why are we up so early today? What are we supposed to be doing?
Well, we are heading to a venue in Craighall where we're going to be making sleeping bags for the homeless. So we're meeting a whole bunch of volunteers there. Once we make the sleeping bags, we'll be getting on the bus and heading out to the Immaculata Hall homeless shelter in Rosebank, where we'll hand over the sleeping bags to those who desperately need some shelter in this freezing cold weather. And as you've probably felt this morning, it is flippin' cold in Johannesburg at the moment, and people out there are freezing on the streets. So we're going to be making this bag. It's made out of recyclable material, so recycled plastic and recycled newspaper. And it is fully insulated, fully waterproof, and will last a whole winter season. So even though it looks quite thin and flimsy, we've actually had complaints that it's too hot. Because it's insulated, so we had to reduce the thickness of the paper from 10 sheets to 6 sheets because people were saying they were sweating too much. So we're going to be making these sleeping bags, and we're going to demo one now, and then we're going to be taking them to Immaculata Hall homeless shelter after this and handing them over. Okay, cool. Let's show you how to make one of these. We're going to roll this over itself. Okay. So guys, if you can just tape the plastic down for me, if you can put a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here. This needs to be a small piece. So just put it here. As I said, it's an emergency temporary measure, and it enables us to get as many out as possible. So guys, you're just going to tape in the middle just to hold the newspaper in place. You're not going to tape anything down the sides because eventually we're going to do a long strip. Okay, next batch of newspaper. Thank you. Okay, so now this is valuable learning. So this actually won't fit like that, so you've got to make sure that there's no gap. So we wouldn't do it like that because then there's this big gap. It has to be fully covered, so we'll do like that. Make sure thumb. Thanks. So in this case, you would tape here and on this corner here. So it's just to hold it in place. Next paper.
Start laying 6 sheets of newspaper over the plastic, overlapping them until you have covered the entire plastic. Take roll of tape and attach to paper, plastic, and table, making sure all the newspaper is taped. Now cover the second side of the plastic bag with newspapers in exactly the same way. Lift up carefully and the tape will fold underneath easily.
And again, we're just going to fold over all of our tape.
Turn the close end of the bag towards yourself and start folding almost all the way to the open end, expelling air as you go. Turn the open end towards yourself. With the first bag complete, we had to test it.
Snuggle in. Let's get a newspaper pillow, someone. Get all the climb all the way to pilot class.
I got your polo.
Yes, your pillow.
Your polo.
People see you just now. So that's how it works, guys.
Are you happy with the turnout and the activities?
It's incredibly exciting to see this many volunteers coming out on a really cold Saturday morning. So we've got 16 volunteers here today, which is fantastic. And you'll see from the footage, we've got a lot of young people here, which is so exciting because they are the future of our country. So far, we've made 13 sleeping bags, and we need to get to at least 20 before we head off to the homeless shelter. So it's been great. We're very happy. I think what gets people hooked is the fact that we do everything. We take all the hassle out of volunteering. They don't even have to drive themselves to a venue. They can hop on our bus and we do everything from transporting them to providing tea and coffee to providing all the materials for the activity. So it really is the most painless form of volunteering you can do, and people love that.
Yeah. Offline, you told me about just how inundated shelters get, especially now with numbers of people moving into shelters with the weather conditions and everything, and how the sleeping bags helps when there are not enough blankets and enough beds and all of that stuff. So 20 will do the trick today.
20, I mean, it's a drop in the ocean compared to the amount of people who need this kind of help, but it's a start. Every contribution counts, and we will keep delivering sleeping bags to this shelter. We've so far delivered over 600-700 to this shelter over the last 2 years. So we just keep coming back with as many as we can make. But we definitely will be having another sleeping bag making marathon before the end of winter.
What are the kind of feedback, all kinds of feedback that you get about this type of sleeping bags?
Well, as I told you earlier, we've actually had complaints that they're too warm, which is music to our ears, but we've had to adjust them to obviously be less hot. But we've had fantastic feedback. It helps in so many ways. It helps a lot of people on the streets keep their goods dry when it's in wet weather. It keeps them warm at night. A lot of people will use other blankets and things within the sleeping bag as well. And it just keeps them dry and warm. And that's what people really need in the winter times.
And people who are not so sure about this type of sleeping bags, what do you have to say?
As I said, it's a temporary emergency measure. And it's a 10 Rand a sleeping bag. It allows us to give some relief to large groups of people. And there are many ways that people can get stuck in and help, and this is just one of the many ways.
And in no time, the bags were ready. It was time to hop on the bus once again to get to the next destination. Described as the Uber of volunteering, Better SA's volunteer bus is always on the move, mobilizing volunteers across the city of Johannesburg. The destination today is the Immaculata Hall, a shelter for the homeless in Rosebank. On the way to the shelter, we spoke to the volunteers about their contribution to making an initiative such as this one a success.
Sleeping bags nowadays are expensive, so unlike this is 10 Rand to make, so it's quite resourceful.
It's a great thing to do on a Saturday, you know, if you don't have things to do. And I mean, I know there's a lot of young people that are always going out and everything, but I mean, just taking 3 hours out of your day to help people in need, I think it's a great thing to do, especially with your friends.
I actually had no idea that it was possible to make sleeping bags with just newspapers and plastic bags, and it's actually very innovative. And it's a very good makeshift idea to help the people in need.
Yeah. What are you hoping the response will be when we get to the homeless shelter?
I'm hoping that they're going to be very happy. And I mean, the weather's been like super cold, so I'm hoping that they'll be happy. Even though it's temporary, they'll be warm for a certain amount of time.
Upon arrival at the Immaculata Hall, the caretaker took us on a tour around the shelter.
Here is the information. I said we accommodate 20 women. Okay. So upon when they come here, we do the intake interview. Then if the person qualifies, she will get a sleeper couch. Then you just pull it out as shown just now. This how it goes out, and then you get it.
Yeah.
The person will get his or her own privacy detail.
And they get a locker as well.
And they get a small locker where they put their little belongings, toiletries, and then also their clothing for change.
Yeah, what are the terms and conditions of living here?
Well, the terms and conditions that people will be staying with us, they have to be given of 60 years, individuals, and they have to have a proof of identity, so that we know who are we dealing with. And mostly they come from provinces outside Gauteng. They would come and look for work. When they come here, they've got nowhere to stay. So we try to give them that place where they can, you know, have a roof over their head at night, have a meal, have a decent shower in the morning, and go out and look for work. Some are working as, they're having part-time jobs and, you know, odd jobs as car guards, domestic helpers, gardeners, and some they will be going out just to go and look for work, hoping, you know, that they will get something, you know, to send home. We have a large number of men here due to the developments that are taking place in Rosebank. and mostly men, they still want to provide for their families. So they would come from Eastern Cape or Mpumalanga, come here, look for work, send back money home, where the mothers are taking care of the children and, you know, take them to school, make sure that they also get a decent upbringing. Some of the reasons that leads you know, our people to be homeless, it's issues of family breakdowns, you know, substance abuse, and people sometimes are not even ready, you know, they still have to, you know, build it upon themselves, work it out, you know, do an introspection, and by the time they are not willing to be, you know, reunited with their family, so they still want their own private space. So we respect that. That's why normally they feel a bit reserved about, you know, being exposed. Remember, they're also in need, they're vulnerable, so they're not too exposed to, you know, to other conditions. So they still want to rebuild their own lives and everything. So we offer them that platform whereby they can rebuild their own lives. And yeah.
What are day visitors? What are they coming for?
They would come for a meal. Also, they would come for counseling, and also come to do some basic skills that we're offering, computers, and also to be helped by our volunteer social worker to apply for, you know, jobs with Harambee and other employment agencies around.
So you find that sometimes it gets full and you have to turn people away?
Yeah, our space is limited. Then unfortunately, you know, we can help as much as we can. So those that we can help will help, and those we can't, you know, unfortunately we'll refer them to other shelters that are in town. We are the only shelter around the area. There's no other shelter around the area, so that's why it becomes, you know, kind of an unfortunate situation whereby we have to turn people away because we could refer them to places around the area.
Who knew that my journey with Better SA would be so informative and so fulfilling? So why don't you get out there and get involved? Who knows, you might be the next one to be in the Better SA buzz. Giving has never felt so good. Thank you so much for being part of our show today. Until next week, it's a goodbye as I hop onto the Better SA buzz.